Hey, it's Dr. Thornel with New England Family Chiropractic, and I want to share with you today some interesting points to help really quell the fear that people have going on within them. If, like most people, you're sitting home and you're watching the news once, twice, three times a day, some people just have it on all day long in the background, all of that information gets into your head and it causes fear and panic within your body. And that fear and panic is a form of stress. And I want to show you why that's bad. Not only is it, something that just, it makes your mind race and you're like, oh, I'm so stressed out. Physically, it has really damaging effects to your body. Here's just a couple of the things that happen when we're under stress. Number one, we increase our heart rate. And keep in mind, stress, so if we go back, 1,000 years, the human body, the physiology of the human body hasn't changed in thousands of years. Your DNA hasn't changed in thousands of years. And stress 1,000 years ago was a very helpful thing to the human body. Stress was, I open the door to my cage, or my cave, and I see a saber-toothed tiger outside my door. Well, stress kicks in, a stress response within my body kicks in, certain hormones increase, other hormones decrease, and physiological changes happen within my body in an effort to protect my body from that saber-toothed tiger. So things that might happen, I increase heart rate. If I'm gonna run away from this lion, we've all heard that term, fight or flight. That fight or flight mechanism kicks in when we're under high stress like that. So my heart rate goes up. I'm gonna have to run away from this lion or I'm gonna have to fight him. My blood pressure goes up so that I can get blood to my muscles so that I'm able to run. My blood sugar goes up so that I have quick energy to climb the tree or fight the tiger. The tension in my muscles goes up so that if I have to fight that tiger, I'm ready to go. At the same time, your body says, well, there's a lot of things going on inside this body that I don't need to pay much attention to right now, and it shuts them down, such as digestion and metabolism. Fertility. We don't have much need for fertility or erectile function while there's a saber-toothed tiger at the edge of our cave, and your immune function shuts down. So your body says to itself, hey, we've got bacteria and viruses that might be causing us a problem, but right now that tiger is way more of a problem than that bacteria, so don't worry about that for now. Let's worry about all these other things and save us from that tiger. In addition, we have decreased decision making. When you're under high stress like that, your frontal cortex of your brain shuts down. Again, if I'm being chased by a tiger, I don't need to say, hey, what's the square root of 137? Like, I don't have to have really complex thought going on. My only thought is get away from the tiger that's behind me. So our ability to use complex thought is shut down. The blood supply to that part of our brain decreases, and we're making very poor decisions when we're under high stress. You've seen and heard the stories about somebody in a really stressful situation, whether it's a first responder, somebody in the military, the guy who's the best at his job, or the woman who's the best at her job, is the one that can keep their cool under fire. Because when we get stressed, we make very poor decisions. Now, when the tiger was chasing us, if we go back 1,000 years again, all of these things were fine because we either got away from the tiger or the tiger ate us. Stress was over. In today's world, especially with all the news media today, these things are going on 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and now weeks and months at a time. This is horribly unhealthy. For your heart rate to constantly be elevated, for your blood pressure, your blood sugar to constantly be elevated, for your muscle tension to constantly be elevated. It's no wonder you have headaches and muscle pains. It's no wonder that diabetics have a hard time controlling their sugar when they're under stress. It's no wonder that so many people get heartburn and indigestion when they get stressed out. It's no wonder that our rate of fertility in a stressed out world goes down. It's no wonder that 80% of men over the age of 65 have erectile dysfunction. It's no wonder that so many people suffer with poor immune function. So these things, again, these are what happens when we're under fear. So I want to take you from that state of fear and bring you back to reality and remove some of this for you and let your body have a break and normalize. Let your prefrontal cortex get blood supply back, and you can make good decisions. Again, when we're highly stressed, we're not making good decisions about anything. So let's put the damper on these things for a while, and let's bring you back to reality and let your body take a breath and recover a little bit. Let's take a look at, and this is going to seem like a strange place to go to find comfort, but we're going to look at death rates. And this will bring you comfort if you listen to the whole statement here on this. So we start out, this is looking at recorded deaths worldwide from January 1st to April 1st. We begin at the bottom down here, and I have a couple of other little notes over here. We begin at the bottom, and this is 2,076,000 deaths attributable to cancer since January 1st of this year, again going through April 1st. Over 1,200,000 smoking attributed deaths, over 600,000 related to alcohol, over 400,000 related to HIV, over 340,000 related to traffic accidents, 270,000 related to suicide, 250,000 related to malaria, 122,000, 123,000 so far this year related, again, just in these couple of months, to the seasonal flu. And then down here, the smallest, most, least intimidating number of all of these are the corona deaths worldwide in that same time period. And to put into further perspective, heart disease worldwide annually is related to over 10 million deaths. Diarrhea is attributed to over 2 million deaths worldwide annually. So the point of this is, it's not good, and I'm not happy that 48,000 people have died from the coronavirus. I don't want anybody to think in any way that's what I'm trying to say. What I am trying to say is you should not and cannot live a life in fear related to the coronavirus. You didn't fear the seasonal flu a year ago. You don't fear malaria or traffic accidents. We don't shut down the world because of alcohol-related deaths. There's no reason to put fear into this corona category either. You can see by the numbers, it's way less likely over the last 4 months to kill somebody you know than any of these other things. So the fear factor is something that needs to be dispelled. Now, why are we in fear so much of the coronavirus? Part of it is media attention and misinformation. And I want to share with you, this comes from Dr. Fauci, who is the lead medical opinion on everything that's happening as far as shutdown in the United States and how we're handling quarantine and what the approach to opening up is going to be and all of those things. And on March 30th, so a week ago, March 30th, he had an article in the New England Journal of Medicine, and this quote at the bottom here that I've highlighted, I want to share with you, comes from Tony Fauci, Dr. Fauci. He said, if one assumes that the number of asymptomatic or minimally symptomatic cases is several times as high as the number of reported cases, the case fatality rate may be considerably less than 1%, and that's proven out to be the case. This suggests that the overall clinical consequences of COVID-19 may ultimately be more akin to those of a severe seasonal influenza. So what he's saying is these numbers might, in a worst case scenario now, approach a flu season, a typical flu season. And in the United States, we have somewhere between 15,000 and 61,000. Last year it was 58,000 deaths in the United States alone that were attributed to the flu. So we're talking 48,000 so far in the entire world. We had 58,000 in the United States alone attributed to the flu last year. So he's saying that ultimately this looks like it's going to be a bad flu season. So why then does the media go through so much hype? Part of it is the media wants to keep you hooked into the TV. They want to say, hey, we had X number of viewers today, and because of that we can charge this much for our advertising, and it's in the news media's best interest for you to stay plugged in. So they give you more and more sensationalism to keep you tuned in. And if you doubt any of that, just think of what's happened to your weather forecasts in the last 10 or 15 years. The sensationalism of weather forecasts is off the chart. How many times do you laugh at the storm of the century century that turns out to be, snow showers or rain showers and no snow at all. They've canceled schools 3 days before, and it turns out that we have a 40-degree day with some rain. So that sensationalism is not unique to the coronavirus. This has just given them a really good opportunity. It's something that they can be really scary about, and it's working. They've done a very good job of it. In addition, it's now in the medical field's best interest. I found out this morning that when hospitals are reporting deaths, they are told, and this is official from the, what are they called here? The National Vital Statistics System. This is sent out to all coroners and hospitals on how to classify corona deaths. And it says, right in here, this just came out on April 3rd from the National Vital Statistics Center, who their job is to record things like this so that we know what things are dangerous, where the government can focus money and attention on limiting deaths. And they say, in cases where a definite diagnosis of COVID-19 cannot be made but is suspected or likely, it is acceptable to report COVID-19 on the death certificate as probable or presumed. In these instances, certifiers should use their best judgment in determining if infection was likely. So these people don't even have to test to be positive for coronavirus. So of the deaths we're seeing, there's certainly going to be a good portion of those where the people are dying and are presumed to have coronavirus. Somebody who has pneumonia looks an awful lot like somebody who has coronavirus. Somebody who's dying of COPD and they have coronavirus at the same time are going to be listed as a corona death, which it brings up another point. Dying with corona and dying from corona are two very different things. In Italy, we know that 98% of the people who died with coronavirus also had what they call comorbidities, which are other diseases that they were likely to die from anyway. So in Italy, again, it was 48% had 3 or more comorbidities, which leads me to the next point that I want to make. That point is, what we need to get out of our current situation with the coronavirus and to never have another situation like this again is to learn from this lesson things that we can do better moving forward. We know that 98% of people with comorbidities are the ones who are really struggling, which means it's over 98%. It's like 1% to 1.4% of people are really struggling with this. 98% of our population has some sickness and they get over it and they're okay. So what we need is more people to be less sick. And now is a time when you've got this fresh in your mind. I don't want to be one of these statistics. I want to be somebody who maybe had corona and survived it. I want to be a person who never even knew I had it. I want to be somebody that never had to deal with any of the effects of it. Well, we do that by being healthy human beings. The healthy human body has always been the best defense against every disease that's ever come along. There are, and I've said this a bunch of times for those of you that have heard these messages, we have bacteria and viruses on every surface, in every breath we take. Inside our body, we have more bacteria and viruses. We have more of those cells than we have human cells. If we broke you down, you are more of a bacteria and a virus than you are a human being if we go based on the number of cells. You've got more bacteria and viral cells that make up your body and live inside your body than you have human tissue. And those bacteria and viruses don't always cause you a problem. It's not until you become unhealthy, until you break down, that bacteria and virus can become a problem at all. There's an old story about 2 gentlemen walking down the street and they see a dead bird in the street, and one guy kicks the bird over to look at it and they find all sorts of maggots. And the guy says, geez, I wonder what happened. And the other guy says, well, it's clear. The maggots killed that bird. Well, the lesson from that is the maggots. You ever see a bird fly across the sky, a healthy living bird fly across the sky with all sorts of maggots all over it? No, it doesn't happen that way. The bird died and became a good environment for flies to land and lay their eggs, and maggots grew. In a healthy human body, bacteria and viruses are not a problem. We live in conjunction with them all the time. When we become a good host, when we become a dead bird on the side of the road, now we're a place for bacteria and viruses to flourish, and it becomes a problem. So one of the things that we're hearing about the coronavirus is that the number of people infected is much higher than what we know. And some people will look at that, and the news media will certainly play with that to make that sound scary, but that's actually a good thing. That's what happens with all viruses. People get exposed and they get over it. And in the past, it's a good thing. If you're you've got 4 people in your house and 3 of them get the stomach bug and 1 of them doesn't, does it mean the other guy who didn't get the stomach bug didn't come in contact with anybody else? Of course he came into contact with him. He just didn't throw up. His body handled that particular virus better than the other 3. And that, in the past, has always been a positive. We've always said, oh, he's got a healthy, strong immune system. He didn't get sick. He's immune to it. Well, today, we're calling those people carriers, and we're making that sort of like it's a bad thing. Well, that person didn't get sick, but they might give it to somebody else. That's true of every virus. But that's a good thing. Those people are healthy enough that they didn't get sick. Absolutely. It didn't bother them. They didn't have breakdown. They handled it and they went on with their life. And that happens with every single virus that's out there. We're constantly exposing each other to everything, and the way we get better is to have exposure, build immunity, and move on. So the fact that we have more and more cases, more and more people who are infected than we actually realize, is a positive for another reason. What that does is every 1,000 people that we find out have been exposed, it means the death rate is actually even smaller. They're calling it now somewhere between 0.4 and 0.8% of people who actually have it are going to die. Well, if the number of people we know have this disease, if that doubles or triples, it drives that death rate down. It means it's even less scary. So I hope you follow that math. So ultimately, what I hope to get out of this today is not to keep harping on deaths of the coronavirus. What I want to harp on is the 98% of people who are dealing with it just fine. And at the same time, I want you to take the fear of the numbers that the media keeps flashing to you about coronavirus and have you put it into perspective so that you don't end up a sickly person for other reasons that fear has now caused you. Whether it's caused you blood pressure problems, caused your diabetes to go crazy, it's causing you to be, have a weak immune system, it's causing you poor decision making. There's a lot of costs that go into being fearful all the time, and your health is the greatest one. So hopefully today we've put some of those fears at rest, given you a little bit more confidence in your own body, taken a little bit of the power away from the media to scare you. Know that the reason they're scaring you is not for your own good. It's not because they have everybody's health in mind. It's because they're driving their bottom line. If we can keep you tuned in with a crazier and crazier headline, for instance, here's a crazy headline. In Louisiana, the headline reads, "1-day-old baby dies from COVID-19. 1-day-old baby. So now every pregnant woman, everybody who has a baby, is scared to death for their newborn. Further investigation, if we go into that story and we read, the baby didn't even have coronavirus. The baby didn't die of COVID-19. The baby's mother was suspected of having coronavirus while she was 18 weeks pregnant. She delivered her baby prematurely, 22 weeks premature, and the baby did not survive." And the headline reads, not, premature baby born to sickly mother who went into premature labor, didn't make it, which that alone, that's sad, that's reporting the news. They say 1-day-old baby dies of COVID-19. That scares people, that gets attention. So that's what they're trying to do with you. With all these headlines, that's what you're seeing. Relax, take a breath, know that you being healthy is the most important thing to you defeating corona, the flu, malaria, any of these things. You being healthy is your best defense against all of these things. It always has been since the day that saber-toothed tiger was at the door, and it always will be. 100 years from now, 1,000 years from now, man will live in conjunction with bacteria and viruses in their environment. And as long as the host is healthy and functioning properly, the environment isn't nearly as important. So I hope that helps you. If you have questions, certainly let me know. Put them in the comments below. I'll try and answer them. I hope that this did what it was supposed to do and calm people down, give you some more confidence in yourself, not rile you up more because I've got numbers up here. I only use the numbers to put things into perspective for you. So I hope that helps. Go out and enjoy it. It is a sunny day out there. Get some fresh air. Enjoy the sunshine. Vitamin D is great for the immune system. We need it to make the immune system work properly. So get out there and enjoy yourself today.